Presented by Lowe's.
Welcome to the Wooden Legacy on the campus of Cal State Fullerton. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week presented by Lowe's. In our third quarterfinal of the day, it's the Dayton Flyers out of the Atlantic 10 Conference against the Nebraska Cornhuskers from the Big Ten. And indeed, happy Thanksgiving to all. Two games already in the books here in Orange County. Texas A&M and Virginia Tech have advanced on to the semifinals tomorrow. And the nightcap tonight should be a dandy 14th ranked UCLA in the house to take on Portland. And welcome everybody to Fullerton, California. So glad you could join us here on Thanksgiving. Along with Sean Farnham, I'm Doug Sherman. Jeff Goodman will join us momentarily. We have a chance to see one of the highest flying Flyers, Charles Cook, averaging 23 points per game.
And look, Dayton Flyers fans, they already know. But for the rest of the country that maybe hasn't watched a lot of Dayton basketball, Charles Cook is a breakout star in college basketball, shooting better than 50% from the field, better than 50% from beyond the arc, and not to mention he plays both ends of the court. He is an excellent on-ball defensive player, and it's so key to Archie Miller and the Dayton Flyers' success. So sit back, relax, and enjoy one of the best players in all of college basketball.
No doubt about it. Dayton, the preseason favorite to win the Atlantic 10 Conference, and that league is loaded ahead of Rhode Island, VCU, Davidson, and the rest. And Charles Cook, the 6'5 senior from Trenton, New Jersey, leading the way early on this season. For Nebraska, it starts with Ty Webster, their 6'4 senior from Auckland, New Zealand. He has played internationally and is playing very well to start this year for the Huskers.
Yeah, coming off a career high 23 points against Louisiana Tech, and this is a step up in competition for the Huskers. Dayton not at 100%. I expect a very competitive game tonight.
Dayton coming off his only loss of the young season to 17th ranked St. Mary's on Saturday. It was a tight ball game. Nebraska, meanwhile, looking for its first 4-0 start since 2013-14. Cornhuskers in the white, Dayton in their red with blue lettering. Wide open look, and we are underway with a bucket by Michael Jacobson.
Really good patience that time for Nebraska. Handling the defense, especially in the on-ball screen situation, and eventually finding a wide open mid-range jump shot.
Cook fouled on his drive to the bucket.
And that's where Charles Cook has really just thrived as of late. Drawing fouls and getting to the free throw line. Obviously not a free throw opportunity here, but as the game progresses, what you'll see is him continuing to slash and attack off the perimeter.
In his younger days, first at James Madison, then transferring to Dayton, he would be more inclined to settle for the jump shot, but as you say, much more aggressive here this year. Archie Miller in his 6th year as the head coach at Dayton. Former Wolfpack star at NC State. Graduated in '02 and one of the rising stars in the profession.
I think about 5 years, 4 trips to the postseason, 3 to the NCAA tournament, including the Elite Eight back in 2014. And this program has hit adversity in this young college basketball season and started long before that.
Cook misfires, and we've got two players tangled up on the rebound. Sam Miller and Glenn Watson Jr. got hooked up with their arms. There's Tim Miles in year number 5 as the head coach at Nebraska.
And one of the most charismatic coaches in the entire country. I mean, you sit down and talk to him, just sit back, relax. I was at an event where Larry the Cable Guy, who's probably watching the game, big Cornhusker fan,
sure,
was there in Las Vegas, and Tim Miles was more humorous than Larry the Cable Guy, and that's hard to do. What's not hard is Ty Webster getting to the rim and finding an easy two.
I'll tell you, Sean, I have not enjoyed a shoot-around as much as I did yesterday with Nebraska and Tim Miles.
I mean, people that don't know him don't understand how charismatic he is. You know he's got an Emmy? Yeah. He has an Emmy. How many head coaches in college basketball have an Emmy? Tim Miles does.
Miller's jump hook is good, and Dayton is on the board.
Tim had a reality television show back when he was at Colorado State. And he was a reality television star. He's the one that I think inspired the Kardashian family.
Cook absorbs the contact, can't get the finish. And the one thing that I enjoyed most out of that was the way his players interacted with Coach Miles. That it seemed to be a lot of give and take and everybody having fun.
Well, I think that's part of the culture in which he has built at Nebraska. Got a beautiful facility. They call it the Vault. I was lucky enough to call a couple of games there back when I covered the Big Ten for ESPN.
Shot clock down to 5. Lynn Watson Jr.
The on-ball screen action's working really well for Nebraska because the back line of their defense is slow and rotating up to help.
Scoochie Smith earns a trip to the free throw line.
We go on that last possession for Nebraska. The on-ball screen. Now watch, he turns the corner. Where's the help? Slow and reacting. An excellent job stopping and popping by Watson. You know, sometimes he thinks so much of the pass, he forgets about his offensive game, but he's had some games already this season where he's starting to assert himself as far as a scorer, and I think Nebraska could really benefit from that, not just here, but moving forward as you get closer and closer to conference play.
You know, Watson's playing a different role this year for Tim Miles. Last year he split the point guard duties with Benny Parker, averaged nearly 9 points per game, but it's different this year. He is the guy.
This young man at the free throw line, Scoochie Smith, has accomplished so much over the course of his career. And think about the respect that he has earned in this program. 3rd season in a row that he has been captain of the Dayton Flyers.
No other Flyer has ever had that distinction. Pretty good. Morrow, strong to the hole.
That's just man strength right there, just going through the defense. Double team, he rejected it, drove baseline. They didn't cut off the baseline, and that allowed him that little bit of a seam to finish.
Scoochie Smith left it short. Rebound grab by Jacobson. Ty Webster thought about it, dumps it off. Driving to the bucket for 2 more is Morrow.
Well, look, you got to call a timeout right now because Dayton Staple has been the defensive end of the floor. A big concern for this team is the lack of an interior presence. And what you're starting to see is teams be patient on the outside and then look to attack. And Nebraska's done a good job reading the defense and then looking to attack and score inside the paint. Well, watch the on-ball screen. Both guys hard show, but a good soft touch pass over the top. Again, this help side rotation is step slow, and when you're a step slow, you give up 2.
Well, Dayton is now playing without Josh Cunningham, one of their tri-captains. He had surgery on his torn ankle ligament last week and out for 3 months, so they're having to make do.
Well, and not only that, but Kendall Pollard as well, not back. This is a team that is less than 100%. Now, you ask Archie Miller, is that an excuse for anything? And he'll tell you no, because he expects his guys to be able to guard out on the perimeter. They have to surround the ball and keep it away from the paint and try to deter teams from getting easy 2s.
Let's go over to Jeff with more on the injuries.
Yeah, I mean, this Dayton team has been decimated, to be honest. As you guys mentioned, Kendall Pollard dealing with knee and thigh injuries. He was on his way back from the knee issue, and then the thigh hit him in a scrimmage. Cunningham out likely for the season. And the one you didn't mention, Dayton big man Steve McElveen, who was set to start in the middle and give him an inside presence, died suddenly back in May of a heart issue. So 3 guys, all of which could have started up front. Archie Miller doesn't have any of them tonight.
Well, and, you know, Steve McElveen has been talked about already this young college basketball season in a couple of games for the Dayton Flyers. And number 5 is on the jersey for every team, every member of the team. And, you know, when they go back and watch those films of games like when they're preparing for Alabama, Carol Lawson mentioned it, you know, you go back and you're seeing Steve in those games. And so it's a consistent reminder. And I will tell you, in high school, I lost a teammate my sophomore year that was a senior. And there were random things throughout the course of the year that just popped up that brought that memory back. And it was a hard season for everybody involved.
Nice dump off by Scoochie Smith, and we'll have free throws upcoming when we come back to Fullerton, California.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Gildan, your favorite t-shirt, and Angry Orchard Hard Cider. Branch out.
To be a part of the University of Dayton and have an opportunity to represent them as the head coach and every single one of our players from the previous to the future and the guys that are currently here right now, thankful for everything that they've done in helping us make this such a great program. Thank you.
And the native of Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, has in part made this program what it is over the last 6 years. Although off to a slow start here in this quarterfinal of the Wooden Legacy, 14-4 Nebraska off to the quick start. But Dayton has been on a marvelous run under this man's direction.
Well, and you look at the Dayton program and you see what they've been able to accomplish against power conference teams, 23 wins. Look at how successful they've been against the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten. And one of the things that stands out to me about this program is the support it gets from its fan base. I've been able to call a game at Dayton. You could put 2 high school teams in that gym and you'd have 15,000 people show up. I mean, it is a great basketball community. Obviously, the NCAA tournament starts there every single year. There's a reason for that. Archie Miller has tapped into that passion of basketball, has brought it out to even a higher level than it's been in recent memory.
Zarius Williams 1 out of 2 from the free throw line. Last year, as is not unusual, Dayton was in the top 25 in attendance, averaging nearly 13,000 per game. So to your point, Sean, doesn't matter who's playing, they'll draw a crowd. When the Flyers are playing, and when the Flyers are good, they will really draw to UD Arena. Charles Cook still scoreless.
Well, last possession for Nebraska, their first miss. They're 7 of 8 from the field right now.
Webster split the double team.
You just see the quality of shot, and Nebraska is really executing well against a very good perimeter defense.
Largest lead of the ball game, 16-5 Nebraska. Darrell Davis gives inside. How about the denial by Jacobson? Ball saved to Williams. Flyers still with it. Shot clock at 10. Well, they've now reset it. It's a moot point. Flyers can reset. Cook looking to get going. Davis, no. And the ball will stay at this end.
Watch the recovery. Help side defense tracking in from behind. Beautiful block shot. Nebraska's activity level. They're matching and exceeding Dayton's early in this game, and there's not a lot of times when you watch the Dayton Flyers that you see at the defensive end of the floor that they're getting out-hustled, outworked. But in the early stages of this game, that's exactly what Nebraska's been able to accomplish.
Yeah, the Flyers have made just 1 field goal in the first 5 minutes, 40 seconds. Mike Sell has his pocket pick. Here comes Watson. And he will head to the free throw line after being blocked on his way to the bucket. Well, take a look at the battle for Atlantis in Paradise in the Bahamas. How about the performance put on by Baylor today to beat Michigan State, which elicited an apology from Coach Izzo to his players after the ball game.
Well, you look at Baylor, they shot 55% from the field in the second half, and I thought Dan Dockich pointed out a couple of things because you don't see a percentage usually that high. But Dan Dockich pointed out a great point. Michigan State's bigs were slow in transition numerous times. Looked like they were jogging back defensively, and Baylor's interior presence continues to impress in the early stages of this college basketball season, and they're back in a championship game. It's going to be a good battle against Louisville, who got off to a great start and then kind of cooled off a little bit.
Coach Izzo's never one to shy away from scheduling a tough non-conference, and that's been the case again this year, but he feels like this year's schedule, the way it's worked out, he didn't leave for enough practice time for the team to develop.
And they're not healthy. I mean, that hurts. They're not healthy. I mean, if Schilling's available, they got another body inside. So when you talk about teams beating you down the court, there's guys you are counting on that are defensive presence that aren't there for Michigan State right now.
First 3-3 start in the Izzo era for the Spartans.
Oh, by the way, they've got Duke coming up later on this week. In the Big Ten ACC Challenge, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Charles Cook running the break. A third attempt goes for Ryan Mikesell.
Well, and that's where Dayton is at its best. Defensively, they block the shot, they corral it, they push in the open floor, multiple guys come down.
Tough shot by Watson. One and done for the Cornhuskers. Davis, little crossover step back. Evan Taylor into the game for Nebraska. Anton Gill with the basketball now. The Louisville transfer, junior from Raleigh, North Carolina. Under 10 to shoot. That's a turnover.
Well, for the Dayton Flyers, the sluggish start at the offensive end of the floor usually reflects at the defensive end of the floor. But once you start asserting yourself and making your opponent uncomfortable, it creates opportunities for runouts. Yeah, they missed 2 shots, but it's the third one that goes in, and the Huskers were standing flat-footed, and the energy and the bounce is starting to come back for Archie Miller's team.
We talked about the great run Coach Miller has been on at Dayton. It begins with recruiting, and this senior class has been outstanding for the Flyers. Smith, Pollard, and Davis on pace to be the winningest class in Dayton basketball history. Miller misses twice.
The first one was awkward. The second one he needs to finish. There's no excuse.
Webster. Ball call takes us to break with 11:43 remaining in the first. Nebraska by 10. It's rivalry weekend, and Saturday at noon Eastern on ABC we'll have the 113th playing of the game. Number 3 Michigan, number 2 Ohio State from the shoe. A college football playoff spot could hang in the balance with the Buckeyes having won the last 4 and 11 of 12 against the Wolverines. It's also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. And the game day crew's in Columbus as well, and this being Thanksgiving, they've got food on their mind.
No question. You know, every year I have a recipe for you. So America, knowing how big the game is this weekend, Ohio State and Michigan, I went to Reese Davis, and his wife Lee Davis sent us this picture of his beautiful sweet potato casserole. Sweet potatoes and pecan. They wouldn't give us the whole recipe, but Reese says it's full of so much goodness. And it looks good, Reese. It looks as hot and delicious, by the way, as the ticket prices are right now for the game. Do you imagine? They're $390 for the median ticket price.
I believe
for that contest.
Absolutely. They could put another 50,000 seats at that place.
Can I also be honest with you? I'm really excited that this is an off day for us on Saturday at this tournament, so I can sit back and watch that one. Because think about this: Ohio State wins. All right, if they beat Michigan. All right, now all of a sudden that makes it even more important for that Penn State matchup. Hey, but one thing you got to do, you got to be tough, you got to be physical, you got to win the battle in the trenches. In football, right now, you know who's winning the battle in the paint?
Jordy
Nebraska.
Chamunga and the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Nebraska with 14 of their 19 points inside the paint. That's the trenches of the basketball court.
We see Chamunga in the ball game, the 6'11 freshman from Montreal. Wide open look for Roby, skying for the rebound. Roby gets it back. Nice feed from Taylor.
Good patience by Taylor. A lot of times you get an offensive rebound, you look like you're falling out of bounds and you panic. There was no panic. He delivered the pass perfectly and a great easy 2. What a start for Nebraska.
Ball poked away by Roby. Dayton keeps it with 7 to shoot. Finally, the 3 comes. Sam Miller with 5.
Miller has the ability, even at 6'9", to step out and knock down that shot. 25% on the season coming in, but you can see he's very comfortable out there.
Sean, I think Nebraska will take that shot every single time with the sort of defensive pressure we have seen from them.
Well, what Nebraska will accept every single time is getting the ball inside the paint. Offensive shot from the corner. Rebound, looks like he's falling out of bounds, and the patience, the defense overshifts. Last second, he delivers a great pass, and Robbie able to finish. And to me, even in this possession, where is Nebraska looking to attack right now? In the paint. And this is going to be something that Dayton Flyers are going to see all season long. They're going to get better. They're going to get better on the perimeter. They're going to get better inside as far as positioning. But right now, Nebraska has executed at a very high clip here in the first half, shooting better than 71%. It's tough to win games if you're Dayton and you're you're hanging your hat on defense and your opponent's shooting 71%.
Yeah, not a great formula. Chimanga gets 1 for 2 from the line. Foul off the ball against Chimanga. Now, he was on the losing team last night of your Family Feud, right?
Yeah, at the banquet last night, we did a lot of things that were fun and exciting, and Family Feud was one of them. He was on the losing team. Did not come up with the last MVP.
And who was that? Who was the last
Damian Lillard was the one that, who could win the MVP in the NBA this season. Top 100 answers on the board.
Williams buries the 3.
Williams on the board, his first made field goal right there. And the Dayton Flyers got a good crowd here. Brought over 400 people with them to support this team. They've been waiting to get excited.
Back to within 9. There's Scoochie Smith getting his hand on a pass. Five to shoot. Chimanga mishandles the pass. Tough to handle that one. Smith finds Cook for his first 3. He's got it. Timeout, Nebraska.
How important can fans be to a game? You hit a 3, the fans get on their feet, they get a little excited. Great defensive stop, toe the line. If his heels go down, he's probably out of bounds, but instead in transition, we talked about Cook's ability to score inside. That time he squares his feet, able to knock down the 3. No need to drive when you're in rhythm, stepping in 1-2 and knocking it down.
So in the blink of an eye, a 14-point lead has been trimmed to 6, and the Flyers are right back in it. 2 for 16 to start. Perfect 3 for 3 since.
There's one thing you know about Dayton basketball in this Flyers program. They're not going to back down. They're not going to stop. You fall down early, you can't think that you've won the game if you're Nebraska or put it in cruise control, because there's nothing that Dayton's going to allow you to do to feel comfortable. They just continue to try to make you feel uncomfortable at the offensive end. And then when they're at the offensive end of the floor, they have to be patient. I don't think they've forced Nebraska to work enough on their defensive end.
West off the glass, no. And an over the back foul.
Yep.
Against Jacobson.
Well, a quick shot, too. Remember, when Nebraska was being patient, coming off the screens, they'd let it come off of 2 or 3 on-ball screens before they find the guy that was open and get a clean look. That time, Ty Webster comes right out and just turns downhill, driving into traffic.
Kyle Davis keeps the Flyers flying. They're back within 4. Jariah Horn into the game with the basketball. Strong move, good finish, Glenn Watson Jr. He's got 7 to lead the Cornhuskers. Scoochie Smith with a step to the baseline. Big collision underneath.
And they got him with the block inside that restricted area. Didn't get his feet on the outside.
First foul on Horn, and the 6th against Nebraska. And so Scoochie Smith, one of the tri-captains for Dayton, and part of that building block recruiting class brought in by Archie Miller. Really his first full recruiting class, and as mentioned, they are on pace to be the winningest class in program history.
And Scoochie had a very strong game against St. Mary's, 16 points on 6 of 11 shooting in that game. And Dayton lost to the Gales. Big win for Randy Bennett's team. But if you're on the outside of college basketball going, well, St. Mary's, they didn't make the tournament last year. St. Mary's was one of the best offensive teams in all of college basketball a year ago, and they brought all 5 guys back this year. And so they're a tough team to play against, and big win for their program. Not a bad loss for Dayton at the end of the year, I promise you.
Jacobson's bottled up. Along the baseline, he was in a tough spot and turns it over. When we come back, Jeff chats with Coach Miles here at the Wooden Legacy. Final of the Wooden Legacy, a 14-point lead has been trimmed to 4 as the Dayton Flyers are pushing the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Let's send it over to Jeff with Coach Miles.
So, Tim, you're shooting nearly 70% from the field. I know it's not you running the offense. Who is it?
Yeah, really. So we shot well. We've given up too many offensive rebounds. Our starting guys have been pretty good. We've still got to get that bench going so we can play 8, 9, 10 guys, because you're not going to win with 5 or 6 over 3 days.
What's been the biggest difference the last couple minutes that's allowed them to cut it?
They had 3 straight threes. They made a run on when we had 3 freshmen in the game. That's there's a coaching error for you.
You're not going to stay here a little bit longer?
No, I got it.
All right, thanks.
Well, Coach Miles is dead on. I mean, Dayton is +9 at the three-point line right now and +6 in offensive rebounds. So as much as we talked about Dayton not having an interior presence, they're out offensive boarding them 7-1 so far.
With 4 on the shot clock, John Crosby's triple is off the mark.
We anticipated this one was going to be close. Got off to a big lead for Nebraska, but Dayton fought their way back into it.
How about the follow slam? Up above the rim, Ed Morrow Jr. He's got 6. Quick 3 at the other side. Cook off the mark. Watson left is short. Pace picks up. Here comes Dayton. Crosby, coast to coast.
The difference was Watson went in anticipating and looking for the foul. Cosby went in to score. One misses, the other one converts.
Morrow misfires from the elbow. And then the foul call comes against Jariah Horn.
Well, Nebraska comes out of that timeout offensively. Ty Webster tries to turn the corner. Nobody puts a body on Morrow, and he's able to finish. And Dayton at the other end of the floor. Anybody want to stop the ball? Anybody want to get in front of him? No. And that's an easy 2.
So to the free throw line, the senior from Chicago out of Morgan Park High School, Kyle Davis, one of the tri-captains.
Well, and if you're looking for offense for Dayton, I think there's a young man who really has got to step up his game and his confidence at the offensive end of the floor. Last season, he averaged about 8 points per game. But right now, his field goal percentage is really good. But he's averaging under 2 attempts per game. So find a way to be more aggressive. Get an offensive rebound. Get a steal. Drive the lane and look to score. Good athlete. Finishes above the rim. Defensively, one of the best, not only on Dayton, but certainly in the Atlantic 10.
And he has made big shots throughout his career. The one against VCU when he went against Mo Alley Cox. Also a game winner last year against Miami, Ohio. Outside defense. Cook lost it on the way up. Jacobson pulls it away, but he was on the end line.
A much better job surrounding, corralling the ball that time for Nebraska. But watch the defense. Wall up. Secondary defensive player comes over the top to make the block. Good job by Williams rotating over.
6:01 remaining in the half. Here's Williams handing it back. Crosby brings it to Davis. Cook finds the open man. Mikesell leaves it short. Gill the rebound for Nebraska. Watson feeds the post. Morrow bottled up. He's in a tough spot. Keeps his composure, though. Jack McVeigh misfires on his first attempt. Long rebound comes to the Flyers. Chance to tie or take the lead. Cook forces it. And he will head to the free throw line. First foul on Gill, the 8th against Nebraska. And so Cook, the 6'5 senior out of Trenton Catholic, who has 3 points so far tonight, heads to the line with a chance to tie.
And I mentioned 20 of Cook's 38 points in the last 2 games have come from the foul line. Doing an excellent job drawing contact, going to the rim. Sometimes when you struggle offensively, and he certainly has not struggled at all, either as far as field goal percentage or anything goes, but when you're as a team maybe not as fluid as you want to be at the offensive end, and you need to manufacture points, put the ball in his hands. Charles Cook is going to draw fouls. He's going to get points for you even if your offense is broken down.
Williams and Davis go out for Dayton, drawing a nice round of applause from the Flyers fans who've made the trip here to Orange County. First tie of the ball game.
Well, technically speaking, second. I mean, it was 0-0 on that first possession before they scored.
I think our audience is savvy enough to know what we were saying.
Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Now, I'm not there. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer and things process a little slower for me.
Good to know that. I'll be more literal.
Thank you.
The lead was 14 for Nebraska. But Dayton's defense and perimeter shooting has brought them right back in it. Gill hits the 3 and puts the Huskers back in front.
Boy, would Coach Miles like to see a lot more of that this year. Anton Gill, the transfer from Louisville, just 1 of 11 shooting from the field this season before that make.
Well, they need for him to help fill the void left by Andrew White, who's a graduate transfer off to Syracuse. He was such a good shooter for this team last year, and they need Gill to knock down shots like we just saw.
When you look at Andrew White's numbers from last year, 16.6 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game, a lot. Was active on the defensive end of the floor. But, Jeff, when we were around this team all day yesterday, and it's not just coach speak, but it's coming from the locker room within, less is more?
Well, you know what? Andrew White, he did. He left in the summer, and everybody else from the outside thought it was this huge hit, right, when he transferred and ended up at Syracuse. I talked to Ty Webster, and he said it brought us closer together. He said it's no secret he was an outsider. He had a different interest than the rest of us. So the chemistry is better, and Sean, you know this as much as anybody. Chemistry can make up a huge difference when you don't have excessive talent.
Look, they missed the stats, there's no doubt about it, but I think it's almost addition by subtraction. From the way they're playing right now, and from what I've seen early in this season, I think this is a cohesive group that's getting better and better.
Miller launches.
Second 3 of the game for Miller. This is good. This is Thanksgiving. What a legacy. Dayton, Nebraska, 2 teams that are trying to make statements in the early part of the season. Right back at you, Ty Webster. Go ahead.
This is what we thought. The third quarterfinal of the 4 could have the most potential for a thrilling back and forth, and we've gotten that here the last 10 minutes or so.
If you're talking about potential as far as excitement goes, that's probably the next game with UCLA. Boy, the Bruins, their offense has been clicking on all cylinders.
Averaging triple digits this year through their first 4 games are the Bruins. Webster, coast to coast.
Well, Ty Webster, he's had 2 games already in the first 3 where he's had over 20 points. He could be on pace to do that again tonight.
Gucci Smith somehow gets it back out. And then Crosby gives back to the senior point guard who resets. Under 5 to shoot. Mikesell with the jump hook.
Really good defense that time by Ty Webster. Walling up defensively. Keeping that vertical plane from the floor all the way to the ceiling. Contested 2.
McVay gets the ball after setting the screen. Kick to the corner. Gill. He's got another.
Well, he starts doing that. This becomes a really dangerous Nebraska team. That's 2 3-pointers already. He's got 8 points off the bench.
1 from the left corner, that one from the right corner. And just like that, the lead is back to 8. Miller back out to Smith. The Flyers have cooled off. Miller.
Again, good interior defense that time by Morrow. Watch Nebraska's offense. Even some of these threes, Gill's threes have come because of on-ball screens where they attack the back line of the defense. And they force that wing defensive player to pinch in. And that's what's creating that easy kick to the corner for the wide open three.
And at the moment, Gill is set up in the left corner. A minute 20 to go in the half. Mikesell. And a blocking foul against the Cornhuskers and against Ty Webster. We'll take a break from Fullerton.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's and the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back every purchase, everywhere.
From the Wooden Legacy here in Orange County, first couple of days being played here on campus at Cal State Fullerton.
He likes the camera.
He does.
He likes the camera. He's smiling. He got the big smile. Look at that. He's feeling good. He should. It's Thanksgiving. He's with moms, having a good time.
I think the camera likes him as much as he likes the camera.
Look out. He might be coming over here to take your job.
That's all right. Here's a look at what's coming up. That Portland-UCLA game, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 Pacific on ESPN2.
Lonzo Ball. Just 2 words. If you don't know what they mean, if you don't know who he is, if you haven't seen him play, you're missing it.
You might want to tune in.
You're going to have to watch a little bit later on tonight. Spectacular talent.
A threat to go for a triple-double every time he steps onto the floor. Just a freshman. And it should be a treat. A couple of free throws by Ryan Mikesell pulls Dayton back within 6.
And Dayton extending out their pressure. And this is just trying to find a way to make Nebraska uncomfortable,
which they've not really been able to do so far.
60% still shooting here in the first half for the Cornhuskers.
They're getting points in the paint. They're knocking down perimeter shots. Gill sets up in the right corner. Evan Taylor in the left corner. This time the defense of Scoochie Smith does not allow for that screen, and there's a takeaway by the Flyers. Davis in and out.
I love that shot, though. That's what I want to see more of. Remember I said he's got to be more aggressive looking for his shot. That's a transition three. The floor is spread. I like that.
Final 40 seconds of the half. McVay spotting up. He's got it.
Well, remember when they were saying Tim Miles was talking to Jeff Goodman? He said, hey, we're getting beat on the three-point line right now. And now you've got Gill with a couple of threes. Now McVay hits another three. There are 4 out of 6 from beyond the arc. And meanwhile, after going 3 for 3, Dayton is 4 of 12. Good first half for Nebraska and Tim Miles' team.
Cornhuskers led by 14. Flyers rallied to tie it a couple of times. Lasted 26 all. Final 5 seconds of the half. Good defense by the Cornhuskers. Can they get off a shot? Ooh. Pretty good shot by Evan Taylor.
That's a lot better than we saw it shoot around yesterday from the Cornhuskers. It took them like 5 rotations through their team to have one person put one down, but a good first half for Nebraska.
Indeed, the Cornhuskers end the half, Sean, on an 11-2 run, shooting better than 60% through the first 20 minutes. Let's go over to Jeff.
Archie, you were down 14 early.
With an enrollment of almost 39,000, Cal State Fullerton, the second largest student body out of the 23-campus California State University system. They draw international students from 85 nations. Nebraska with a 9-point lead in our third quarterfinal here at the Wooden Legacy with Sean Farnham. I'm Doug Sherman. And the Cornhuskers shot 61% in that first half. You do that, you're going to win a lot of ball games.
Well, it's what Archie Miller said at the half. It's what I've been saying the entire first half. I've been really surprised with the poise and composure I've seen from Nebraska at the offensive end of the floor, absorbing the pressure on the outside and then looking to score underneath. 22 of the 40 points have been underneath in the paint for Nebraska, and this level of aggressiveness is what has opened up the defense and forced it to collapse for Dayton. Now, we know about Webster and his ability to score, but Gil, he was 1 for 11 on the season. 1 for 11?
1 for 11.
Yes, 1 for 11. And he's got 8 points here in the first half, 3 for 3 shooting. A nice job stretching it from the outside. Meanwhile, for Dayton, their woes at the offensive end of the floor, I think, come from the defensive end. But just 24% shooting in the first half, and you see their numbers on the season so far below their normal average at both ends of the floor. So if you're struggling at defense and you're struggling at offense, guess what? You're down by 9 at the break.
Worst shooting performance for a half so far this season for the Flyers. They hit 3 straight threes to tie it at 26, but then the Cornhuskers stretched the lead back out. Back with the second half right after this.
Men's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
Welcome back to the Wooden Legacy on the campus of Cal State Fullerton. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. With Sean Farnham and Jeff Goodman, I'm Doug Sherman. So glad you could be here on Thanksgiving evening. Hope the tryptophan has kicked in and then left, so you're wide awake for the second half.
Hey, what a great day of sports. You got hoops all day long. You've got the NFL. You've got some college football going on as well. It's a great day just to sit down, relax, be around family and friends. No, stay off the internet. Stay off Twitter and social media and actually talk to some people. It's a crazy thought, I know.
Dayton will have the basketball to begin the second half here at Cal State Fullerton. The Flyers in their red uniforms with the blue lettering and trim. Nebraska in the whites.
But if you do go to social media, I've posted some really good stuff from the tournament so far on my account.
Look at it poked away and taken away.
Really good hustle. Look, here's what I think is going to happen. I'd be really shocked if we don't see Dayton come out here at this end of the floor and play with the kind of effort that Archie Miller was talking about going to the break with Jeff Goodman. I anticipate that Nebraska is not even going to shoot close to 60% in the second half. That's a good start right there. They didn't even get a shot off. But, you know, you go in the locker room, Archie, you could tell at the break when he was talking to Jeff, was upset.
Yes.
And you're talking about two of the better coaches really in the country. I love Tim Miles and the success that he's had everywhere. Archie has established himself at a very high level in a short period of time. His teams usually respond from halftime talking.
One illegal screen begets another. Miller, the guilty party for Dayton.
So we've had 3 possessions and not 1 shot yet here in the second half.
Nope. 3 turnovers.
Okay.
Great start.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Glenn Watson Jr. at the point. Big size advantage, and Morrow lays it in.
And that's good awareness, good execution by Nebraska. And we talked about it halftime. 22 of the 40 were in the paint. Where do you want to score your first points here in the second half?
In the paint.
There you go.
Smith for 3. Scucci with 7. That's his first made field goal.
For a timeout, and it wasn't being awarded for a while. But a quick timeout for Dayton. They draw it up from beyond the arc. It's an 8-point lead for Nebraska. Scucci Smith open from the perimeter. Nobody's got a hand in his face. That's too easy.
Boy, you think you've proven yourself? Nah, man, it's still early. Miles and company. This is Cameron, where it's hard to get any crazier. And Duke, this may be your house, but these guys mean business. Michigan State, Duke, get ready for a blockbuster. Tuesday.
Well, we mentioned Archie Miller getting in his team. Imagine Michigan State. Do you think Tom Izzo's telling his group as they get ready to finish out the battle for Atlantis, and then they have to prepare for Duke, and you look at what Duke has this year. Now, Grayson Allen, Luke Kennard is off to a phenomenal start, shooting the ball really, really well. Emil Jefferson back, rebounding strong underneath Matt Jones. Freshman class, we really don't have an idea of who they are yet in its entirety because of the injuries, but Frank Jackson has been really good early for the Duke Blue Devils.
With a schedule that Duke plays, for them to still be winning games at that level, playing only 5 or 6 guys, is remarkable.
Well, and they're going to be challenged. Look, it's going to be a good game. I do have concerns right now for Michigan State and their interior defense, especially after what I saw today, and credit to Baylor.
Yeah, the Bears certainly exploited that. Spot up between Webster around and out. Foul on the floor.
Well, and think about this, too. If Baylor wins the battle for Atlantis, you know who they're going to climb up the polls big time. I mean, huge lead. You know who they've got next Saturday? Xavier at home. How important that battle is. It could be 2 top 10 teams or right outside the top 10 in that matchup down in Waco.
Sam Miller goes to the bench for Dayton after having picked up his 3rd personal. Tough reverse by Webster.
Looking good and making it look easy against a very good perimeter defensive team.
He's the first Cornhusker to reach double figures with 11.
He's 5 of 9 shooting from the floor. Has not had a turnover.
Davis, nice jump stop. Blocked from behind by Jacobson, and a foul on the floor. Well, speaking of Atlantis, let's take a look at the bracket down to the Bahamas. And there's the matchup you were talking about, Sean. Yep. Baylor, Louisville, ESPN tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern.
Number 20 versus number 10. And right now, you take those numbers off. They both have been playing good basketball. Louisville struggled offensively in their first round matchup. Meanwhile, Wichita State didn't struggle at all against LSU. And they drubbed them. And so coming into that game in the semifinals, a lot of people were thinking Wichita State might have a lead, but defensively they buckled down early, and Louisville's press disrupted Wichita State.
And you know, for the Shockers and for Coach Marshall, the beat just goes on.
Yep. And for Cook, they'd like to see that beat go on. Get him going offensively. Just 2 of 7 from the field so far.
Cook came in averaging 23 points per game, just 7 so far tonight.
Ooh.
Webster along the baseline. Back around the perimeter, McVay no. Williams the rebound for the Flyers. Cook, drive and dish. Williams steps into the jump shot. Ball loose out of bounds. Nebraska basketball.
Really impressed with Nebraska's ability to stay attached and help. Their help side defense is rotating very cleanly in this game. They are aware of where the penetration is coming from.
Jacobson feeds the post to Webster. He's doubled up. 10 to shoot. Nice job by Watson to come to the basketball and bury the 3. Watson has matched his season average of 10. Zarius Williams nearly lost it. Scoochie Smith with it. Back to Williams. Here's Mike Zell with 10 on the shot clock. Cook fouled with 4 on the shot clock.
Well, we go back to that last possession though for Nebraska. We go inside the play. Watch movement without the ball. As we go ahead and start this play, you're going to see the drive baseline. Now, everybody defensively is looking in this direction. You're going to see Watson relocate up over the top, and when he does, it's a wide open shot, a long run for Scoochie Smith, and an easy 3-pointer out of a double team where it looked like Webster had no options. All of a sudden, he had the cleanest and best option you could find.
Meanwhile, Watson's running mate in the backcourt, Ty Webster, has picked up his 3rd personal foul. He's been replaced by Anton Gill. Smith can't find the range from distance. Just over 4 minutes gone here in the second half. This is quarterfinal number 3 of the Wooden Legacy. Watson, tough runner. How about the crash by Morrow?
Nobody put a body on him, and he just went after it. By pinning it on the rim, it actually helped him finish that.
6'7", 234-pound sophomore from Chicago. Offensive foul against Williams.
Another screen, another foul, but watch this. Go up over the top. Nobody put a body on him, corrals it, and finishes. Huskers, strong.
Hi, I'm Coach Miles from Nebraska, and I'm thankful for a loving family. My wife and children are here with me enjoying Disneyland while we coach. My family back home in South Dakota are watching on TV, on ESPN, and of course our guys who work so hard for us and are such a cherished group of young people to work with. I'm thankful for them. And lastly, I'm happy to be in California where it's not cold and rainy.
He's also thankful that his team's playing so well here in the quarterfinal. He also got a chance to fly with the Blue Angels.
Nervous.
Yeah, he looked a little nervous. I mean, his leg was kind of thumping there a little bit in the instruction period of time, but this has got to be one of the coolest experiences. Look,
he says that's a smile.
No, that's not. That's panic. That's sheer panic. If one of his players had that expression on his face, he'd probably pull him out of the game. And pulling circles with 7 Gs, and then no, don't worry, he didn't actually throw up.
He said it was dry heaving.
It was dry heaving.
But did you check the
I
bag?
watched the whole video. I watched the whole video. I think he probably fasted for 3 days beforehand just to make sure. But what a great experience.
Have you ever been up with the Blue Angels?
No, but I would. And if any of the pity in the Blue Angels is listening and wants to throw me up in a plane, I'll go ahead and do it.
He said the G-forces were 7.5.
That's pretty good.
Gill trying to find somebody, can't do it. And before the timeout, it's a 5-second violation. 8th turnover by the Cornhuskers.
You know, I look at turnovers, and we talk about turnovers all the time. How important is missed opportunity for you to get a shot up? Yeah, both live ball and dead ball turnovers hurt you. But if you're going to have one, have the dead ball that allows you to set up your defense.
No doubt. Nearly 5 minutes in here in the second half.
5 minutes in, and this Dayton Flyers fans that are here in Breslin, they've not had a lot of reasons to cheer so far.
Terrific give and go, and Jacobson picks up the foul.
That was good execution.
Love the bounce pass.
And too often guys want to throw they want to flick it, they want to flip it. It's the AAU one-handed pass, that you see so often if you're traveling around the summer and you're watching. That's just good fundamental basketball. Defensive players hands high, pass the ball low.
Well, last week got a chance to go to Villanova's practice at the Charleston Classic, and that is one thing Jay Wright stresses and emphasizes. And your colleague Miles Simon picked up on the fact during that practice everything was a bounce pass, and we saw a sequence in the championship game, 6 straight bounce passes leading to an open jump shot. And that's why they're the defending national champs. Good with the fundamentals.
Team basketball becomes more favorable now because of what we see at the NBA level. You watch the Warriors, the Spurs, the Clippers this year, how well they're sharing the basketball, being unselfish, playing with and for their teammates to the right and to the left. And I think there's a trickle-down effect that will come through college and also eventually down to the high school ranks and the grassroots program.
Crosby and Watson came together. Second foul on Glenn Watson Jr., sophomore from Bellwood, Illinois, out of St. Joseph High School. Lob toward the rim. Cook couldn't get to it. His teammate Williams could. Ball goes through the cylinder, but they're going to wave it off.
Yeah, two-hand shove in the back by Mike Sell. And that was easy to see and right in front of the official.
Dayton goes into its full court pressure. With Ty Webster on the bench with 3 personal fouls. Watson at the point. In the backcourt with Anton Gill, the former Louisville Cardinal. Foul against Crosby. And we'll have free throws.
Good aggressiveness that time, feeling where the defense is, and then realizing the foul was coming. Get it up to the line and earn the trip to the free throw line.
Dayton made that push in the first half, Sean, with 3 straight threes to tie the ball game. But so far here in the second half, it's only 6 minutes in. You don't get the sense that Nebraska is going to relent.
Well, and this is one area, though, where Watson needs to get better, getting to the free throw line. This will be his 4th attempt in this game. In the early portion of the season, averaging just 1 per contest. And as a guard, you have to be aggressive. You cannot just settle. He's not a great three-point shooter, so he should be getting to the free throw line where he's a very good foul shooter.
Sirius Williams. Here's Crosby backing down. Gives it back to Williams. Nice jump shot from the short corner.
And just space out, relocate, get your feet set underneath you.
Watson, change of pace, off the window for two.
He's got 14.
Pass deflected out of bounds by Gill. Watson can score. You know, he went for 23 points against Sacramento State on opening night. He's a guy who has taken tremendous care of the basketball throughout his career. 2.5 to 1 assist-to-turnover ratio.
You mentioned the 23 he had an opening night. The next two games, 8 combined.
So like I said, he can do it.
Can do it, but the consistency hasn't been there as of yet. And so when you have a game like you're having tonight where things are going well for you, you need to realize, watch the tape of what you're doing right. Watch how you're scoring. Watch how you're finding your way to the basket. And then try to replicate that night after night, because that's that consistency that will help this Nebraska team continue to improve.
Gill's three off the mark. Long rebound tracked down by Mike Sell. Crosby to the trailer. Mike Sell. This is Evan Taylor, 6'5" junior from Cincinnati. Played his freshman year at Samford. He was on the All-SoCon freshman team for Scott Padgett before transferring ultimately to Nebraska. Gill bottled up. Roby skip pass. Open man Taylor.
That was the right read out of the post.
Cook around McVeigh and a foul before the shot. Well, we've said Charles Cook is very good at getting himself to the free throw line. Haven't seen as much of that so far tonight, but the Flyers certainly need that from him.
Well, and he's also a player that can score a lot of points in a very short period of time. You know, the opening game this season against Austin Peay, in the first 5 minutes of the game, he had 10 points. So he sits at 9 points right now, and really credit to Nebraska. They've kept the Flyers at arm's length pretty much the entire second half of this game. I still believe there's going to be a run by the Dayton Flyers. They're going to tighten this thing up, maybe even give them the lead. Then we'll see what happens and who breaks.
Illegal screen against Crosby, trying to free up Williams on the back cut.
That's the 4th illegal screen that we've seen called in the second half. I'm not quite sure about that one.
Charles Cook goes out. Kyle Davis back in.
Now remember, I didn't think that was an illegal screen. Sometimes basketball is a funny sport. It just works out where the ball comes right back to the team that I thought really didn't get the benefit of the whistle.
I think ultimately things like that do balance out.
Yep. Fans get all upset, and this year a lot of the rules changes. They cleaned up the play in the post, and keeping players out of the cylinder of the offensive player, out of the cylinder of the defensive player, all these things that we've been talking about in the early stages of this season. When you start throwing this much stuff at a lot of people, I think they get a little bit confused. But the officials are doing a good job. This game has been well officiated for the most part so far. The Cornhuskers up by 11. They got visions of semifinal dreams here in Southern California. Happy Thanksgiving.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's.
Willie the band leader in town from Dayton, Ohio, and that band is working. Although I've got to question his judgment in his percussion section.
Wow, I don't know what's worse. Goodman trying to stay on rhythm, or Goodman's dance moves as he swings his hip side to side. That's scary.
Wow.
Thank you, Jeff Goodman.
Get those sticks out of his hands.
My eyes have been burned.
Wow.
Good stuff. You know what? The key thing that got buried, the headline that got buried there.
What's that?
The Dayton band is here.
Yeah.
There's been no other band, and there is no other band that is expected to show up during the course of this tournament.
Where else would you want to be on your Thanksgiving break than in Southern California, here in Fullerton? Shot clock violation. Well, Texas A&M and Virginia Tech have already won ball games here today at Titan Gym. The Aggies defeated CSUN. The Hokies downed New Mexico. The winner of this will become the third semifinalist of the Wooden Legacy. Sirius Williams well short on the three.
I understand that band from Dayton came out here, made the trip from St. Louis. Why were they in St. Louis? Because the volleyball team won the A10 championship. Right now they're looking to try to see if they can play some more songs. Try to get this crowd involved. It has been a very quiet Dayton crowd here in the second half. Even after they get a stop, you're like waiting for them to execute at the offensive end and get a score, and it just, they haven't been able to string together a run like they had in the first half when they got behind and nailed 3 threes and made a couple of layups, and all of a sudden the game shrunk real tight.
But ultimately, they've not been able to keep Nebraska from getting into the lane like they've done the entire game and getting themselves to the free throw line as they are now with Isaiah Roby, the freshman from Dixon, Illinois. Missed the front end of the one-on-one. Well, Dayton is playing without Kendall Pollard, their terrific senior. He did make the trip. We talked about the fact that he still has a thigh bruise, knee trouble. He spent yesterday on the stationary bike while his team was shooting around. But again, Dayton does have some deficiencies, especially up front.
And they're going to be deficiencies all season long, so you're going to have to learn how to adjust and play with it. And Cunningham's not coming back in a horrific leg injury that we saw in that Alabama game where he iced it. And Jeff, you know, when you look at this Dayton team, and we've talked about this, and you see the guys that are missing, these are notable players. These are guys that we're anticipating to be big parts of what they're trying to do.
Huge parts. Kendall Pollard is a guy that's integral to what they're trying to do. He brings the toughness. He's got some leadership capabilities as well. And Cunningham was going to be an impact player, probably going to be, you know, their leading rebounder. So now they're kind of back to what they were a couple years ago when they didn't have a lot of depth. They have more depth this year. They just don't have the size again. Now, in the A10, they still may be able to be okay.
Well, Danny Hurley's team, though, to me, in Rhode Island, and we saw how well they played against Duke the other night. I think this is a team that over the last 3 seasons in Rhode Island, everybody said, hey, this is the year they're going to the NCAA tournament. They dealt with their rash of injuries, including E.C. Matthews missing all of last season, and now you come back, and I think even though the poll says one thing, right now, if I was handicapping it, I would put Rhode Island ahead of Dayton.
So I just saw Rhode Island for 2 days in the Mohegan Sun, and you're absolutely right, John. Rhode Island is a better team today than Dayton. But again, if Dayton can get Kendall Pollard back and some of these young guys, certainly Sam Miller has to be that X factor. He's the face-up for. He's got to make shots. But Pollard's the key because you've got Cook, you've got Scucci. You need a third guy, and that's Pollard.
Yep.
Sam Miller at the moment, guys, by the way, has gone to the bench with 4 personal fouls.
Well, this is a great season of college basketball. If you're just flipping around on Thanksgiving night and you're wondering what's on television and you stumbled on this basketball game, I'll tell you right now, this is a great season because you've got a lot of traditional powers that have emerged already and are moving back onto the national scene. You know, Indiana took the loss the other night, but they're still a top 10 team. UCLA's trending in that direction with as well as they've played in the early stages of the season to go along with the Kansas Dukes, the Kentuckys, the North Carolinas of the world. North Carolina might be better than all of them right now. And then you can't look past the Xaviers, the Villanovas, and then you've got a collection of freshmen, a very deep, talented freshman class this year. So while football's wrapping up, bowl season around the corner, keep an eye on what's going on the hardwood.
Well, of the 8 teams we have here in Fullerton this week, how many do you think are going to wind up in the NCAA tournament? I know it's a long way to go.
Possibly 5, for sure 4.
Yeah. Cook. Foul on the shot. Which 4 of this bracket do you think will definitely be dancing in March?
I think A&M's going to end up dancing. I think Virginia Tech is going to be dancing. I think UCLA for sure is going to be dancing. And I think the Dayton Flyers will dance. So the 5th one becomes a Nebraska Cornhusker team. Can they win enough games to get up to that level? And if they do, it might be games like this, a win against a Dayton in November, a chance to play UCLA tomorrow night, assuming that things kind of play out the way that you would anticipate. Portland and under Terry Porter has done a nice job, but UCLA has been so efficient at the offensive end. These are opportunities to increase your resume. The importance of Feast Week. It's not just meaningless tournament games that we're throwing on television. These are games when they come back to the selection committee, they're saying, well, who did they play and who did they beat? A win for Nebraska versus Dayton is a good win in March.
Jacobson is fouled. Sure, you come into this event, and if you're Tim Miles, you've got the opportunity to play 3 very good teams and potentially 3 tournament teams.
The winner of this game, again, if things go as planned, UCLA will beat Portland. If they do, you're playing UCLA, and then you're playing either Virginia Tech or Texas A&M. That is a good trip. That is a business trip.
Very good way to spend your Thanksgiving week in terms of addressing your resume for March.
Now you see UCLA, very talented freshman class. TJ Leaf averages a double-double, dominating on the glass, very efficient at the offensive end.
And you'll get a chance to see the Bruins tonight, 9:30 Eastern. Make it 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Here we go, it's under 10. Can you string together 3 stops? Right now, what Dayton needs is they need to rely on their signature. Can they string together 3 stops in a row right now?
Taylor gives back to Gill.
There's one.
Under 8 minutes in regulation. Clean look, right wing. John Crosby for 3, and it's back to a 6-point game.
And Tim Miles is going to call a timeout. He doesn't want to see what happened in the first half happen to his team once again. Back-to-back 3-point shots. And the Dayton Flyers have closed this thing to 6. Wide open in transition. Defense leading to offense. So important for the Flyers.
Back with some leftovers for SportsCenter at night with Kenny Mayne and Nicole Briscoe. They'll have a feast of highlights from the NFL, NHL, college basketball, the Tigers and Aggies, plus the rest of the day in sports. Give thanks for SportsCenter at night on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN.
Well, and you know, LSU's been one of those programs all season long trying to figure out what direction they were going to go after they made the choice to dismiss Les Miles, and now there's rumors out there floating around saying that Tom Herman, the coach of Houston, of course, they had a big win against Louisville not that long ago, that he could possibly be on the move to LSU, and it could be announced maybe even as soon as this weekend.
Well, it certainly seems like Coach Herman is going somewhere, and whether it's Baton Rouge or not, like you say, there are reports out there that say it could happen very soon, that he would replace the interim at Orgeron.
Yeah, Garth Brooks, he's saying calling Baton Rouge. And Tom Herman's calling Baton Rouge. There's the second stop in a row. Remember, I said 3 stops. There's 2 in a row.
Nebraska basketball after the miss by Crosby.
Now, realistically, I thought they could score 2 out of the 3 possessions. This would be the 3rd stop that they need. If they score on this possession, all of a sudden, the pressure starts shifting back to Nebraska. See how the Cornhuskers execute this possession. They have not gotten in the paint, which is what they were good at early in this game.
And remember, Nebraska is playing without Ty Webster right now. He's sitting with 4 personal fouls. 7 to shoot. Nice shot off the glass for Gill. He's got 10.
And what I love is that he drove the lane and he got back to the paint. They got away from that. They were shooting jump shots, settling. That's what Dayton's defense wants you to do.
Lazy pass by Davis, taken away by Watson. And the hustle by Morrow once again.
How many times has Morrow done that in this game? That's at least the 3rd offensive putback that he has had.
And because of that, the sophomore from Chicago has himself a new career high. Cook, the answer at the other end.
So they got 2 stops. They did not get the 3rd, and then they gave up a basket right away again. That's what allowed the game to go back to 8. I think if you're Nebraska right now and you're looking, okay, when do you bring back Ty Webster? To me, you're going to bring back Ty Webster at the under 4 media timeout. If you can get there with the lead and then have him come out, he's going to have to play eventually with 4 fouls. Sitting him on the bench any longer isn't going to help you. So you get him out there at the 4-minute timeout and then allow him to play through the final of this game unless he fouls out. And if he fouls out, okay, you're back to where you're at right now.
If the 8-point lead is cut to 4 or 2 before that under 4 timeout, do you bring him in earlier than that?
No. I think it's a field thing, but I wouldn't.
Michael Jacobson misses the first. Sophomore from Waukee, Iowa, actually has about a dozen family and friends. Made the trip here to Southern California. He spent yesterday finagling his teammates for tickets. Sean, you know how that goes.
No question. He battled some foul issues a year ago, had 9 games with 4 or more fouls, actually fouled out of 1 game so far this season. Has done a nice job avoiding foul trouble. The tickets thing is always complicated with teammates. You go back to where people are from or families, members are traveling, and you're begging and you're asking for tickets.
This was probably a fairly easy beg for him because none of the Cornhuskers, none of his teammates are SoCal guys.
You never know. They could have friends.
Never know.
Tim Miles is a really popular guy. I'm sure he's got a lot of friends from Hollywood. I mean, when you have an Emmy on your shelf, people from Hollywood want to be around you. He's a winner.
And as he mentioned, his friends and family back in the Dakotas are watching us on ESPNU tonight. You know, Tim Miles graduated from the University of Mary back in 1989. You know where that is?
No, please enlighten me.
It's in Bismarck, North Dakota. Folks back there keeping an eye on the Cornhuskers, trying to hang on to this lead, but the Flyers keep coming.
Yeah, you might want to keep an eye on Charles Cook. He was far too open in the corner.
With the lead down to 5, guess who just got up off the scores or to the scores table as Watson connects for 3. Ty Webster at the scores table to check back in.
Big shot by Watson in a big moment. Quiet down the crowd, extend out the lead.
Williams for 3. Yes! Timeout Flyers.
This is fun. This has been a lot of fun. Nebraska has done an excellent job executing, still shooting 55% from the field. But the 3-point kick out, good unselfishness from Scoochie Smith to find Charles Cook in the corner. And on the very next possession, it's Cook with the kick out. The defense collapses in as Charles Cook drives the lane, and the Flyers fans feeling good right now.
So the seniors, Cook and Smith, under their average coming in, but other guys are stepping up. In fact, that 3 for Zarius Williams, Sean, gives him 14 points. That is double his previous career high of 7.
That's interesting, but that jacket, it reminds me of Chris Jericho in the WWE back in the day. Jericho had this jacket that had lights in it. It was destroyed by Dean Ambrose about 7 months ago. Don't ask me why I know so much. but that is a sharp-looking jacket.
Now, where was that earlier on Willie?
I'm just disappointed we didn't have Jeff Goodman wearing that jacket while he played the drums.
Perhaps it would have helped with the rhythm.
Would have made him look better.
Just over 5 minutes left in regulation. Dayton has been playing catch-up this entire second half.
A lot of times you exert a lot of energy climbing up the mountain to try to get back into the game, and then once you get close, you relax a little bit and you slide down again. Nebraska's got to be patient, and I want to see them attack and not settle for perimeter shots. That's a travel. That's a travel. Yep. That was easy.
For a split second, you thought he was going to get away with it. The whistle did come, and he turns it back over.
That one, Tony Padilla is making the call. Tony Padilla, one of the best officials in the NCAA. But yes, I thought he was a little late on that whistle.
Here comes Cook right down Broadway, and he will head to the free throw line.
Manufacturing points, slowing the game down, getting points with the clock stopped, allowing to get your breath a little bit. Also, by making your free throws, it allows you to set up your defense.
Tempo over the last 5 minutes. Who do you think it's favoring?
I think it's favoring Dayton. Well, the game went from what was a 13-point lead to now being just 5. With an opportunity, had he made that one, to bring it down to 3. Now you're trying to make it a 2-possession game.
His coach, Archie Miller, said yesterday Charles Cook is, quote, very hungry, not afraid to take the big shots. How about that for the tip in by Mike Sell? The double team backed off of Gill, and now Nebraska sets up with under 20 on the shot clock. Webster penetrates, and he'll shoot 2.
A good drive by Webster. Been on the bench for a while. You don't want to just start by shooting jump shots. You want to get a piece of the paint to try to get yourself into rhythm, and a good opportunity to do that is at the free throw line. Now, he has not attempted a free throw in this game. On the season, 89%.
And now 17 of 19 on the year to stretch the lead back to 4.
This young man has improved his three-point percentage every single season. He's on pace to do that once again this year. Has played internationally with the New Zealand national team. Tried to qualify for Rio over the summer. They did not get it done, but youngest player on the team was Ty Webster.
He's coming off a career-high 23 points Saturday against Louisiana Tech. 13 points here tonight against Dayton. And the steal by Watson.
Watson timed that perfectly. That was a great defensive possession for Watson. He switched a half a dozen times on that dribble handoff action and waited for the moment, and when he exposed the ball in front of him, poked it away.
Shoot. Webster turns the corner right to the rim.
Strong finish by Webster.
Crosby end to end, and he'll head to the line to shoot 2.
Flyers have been noted for their defense. There was no help side. Turning down the lane, slow reaction on the back line, easy finish. Webster off the bench, playing with 4, but playing well.
California at the Wooden Legacy, our quarterfinal game. Dayton down 7. They were down 3 just a couple of minutes ago. And what do they need to do, Sean, to get over that hump?
To me, it goes back to the defensive end of the floor, stringing together stops. You know, they made a couple of three-pointers during that run, but you can't fall in love with it. I think they've got to continue to attack. They've done a nice job on the offensive glass. They just haven't executed cleanly off of it. 15 offensive rebounds. They're plus 10 on offensive rebounds in this game so far, but they're only plus 3 on points.
Coming up next, midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific on ESPN2, the 14th ranked UCLA Bruins averaging better than triple digits.
#1 scoring offense in college basketball as of today. Now, the Bruins have been red hot. They facilitate their offense. #2 in field goal percentage, #2 in assists per game, #2 in the nation in possessions per game. They are playing quick, and they are playing fun basketball. That's coming up on ESPN2.
And I apologize, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 Pacific. UCLA and Portland. Crosby misses the first.
That's 3 straight misses from the free throw line. Now, the last time you had 2 misses, you got the offensive rebound and putback, so that negated it. But they've got to start making shots at the free throw line right now. Just 6 of 11 so far here in the second half.
Sophomore from Baltimore, able to make the second.
It's a little early for the Santa hat.
Look at his white earrings.
Yeah, no. She's. I mean, look at the necklace.
Lights around the neck.
It's Thanksgiving, folks. It's not Christmas. Christmas is still about a month away.
Webster breaks the pressure to Gill. Nebraska going with the 3 guards along with Morrow and McVeigh.
Here comes the screen. Look for Webster to attack. He slipped it that time. Nice job by McVeigh.
Gill, drive and dish, and again a big finish by Morrow.
Oh, how strong has he played in this game? I mean, just so physically overpowering. He catches the ball near the basket. He just wants to eat iron.
He just keeps adding to his career high. Miller answers with the 3.
That's his 3rd three-pointer of the game. But you can't exchange baskets. You know, I mean, you can't give up the dunk. And look at the disparity in points in the paint. 40-16.
And as we saw in the first half, here in the second half, whenever Dayton has gotten a push, it's been from the 3-point line.
Yep. You talk about Morrow, though. Ed Morrow. Ball swings out. Watch the drive. Baseline defense shifts over. Nobody picks him up in the middle, and he just gathers before the ball is passed. So as soon as it touches his fingertips, he's up in the rim.
There he is after the rebound, but it traveled. You could see that
though.
Yeah.
Tim Miles will love it too. He'll take that turnover because he just went right after it.
You could see why his father of the same name played football at Nebraska. He brings that kind of toughness to the basketball team.
18-9 on the game. What a performance.
Under 2.5 remaining.
Watson staying right with Scoochie Smith.
Took off the mark.
I've been impressed with Watson's defense. He's staying with the perimeter guards of Dayton. That time he was attached at the hip to Scoochie Smith and then left him to go get the rebound. It's not like Nebraska's a towering team.
Webster tried to lob it inside. Got himself in a tough spot. Dayton trying to make him pay at the other end. Williams for 3. Hit the side of the backboard. Gets his own miss. Offensive foul against Cook.
Now I'm going to tell you this right now. Cook got the foul, and he got the foul because Davis should have shot the 3. Davis's 3 was wide open, but because he's lacking confidence in his perimeter shot, he made the 1 extra pass. And when you made the extra pass, look, no one's around him. Now you're passing into trouble. Now he's going to drive. Good help side rotation over defensively. That one's actually on Davis. He should have shot the ball.
Nebraska up 6. 10 seconds to shoot. And they get the ball into the hands of Glenn Watson Jr. Morrow has his pocket picked by Davis, and it's a shot clock violation.
Too patient that time. It's kind of like prevent defense in football. You know, what does prevent defense do? It prevents you from making any aggressive plays. That time, too much patience for Nebraska at the offensive end. What it prevented them from doing is attempting a shot. I think you stay with what works right now. You don't have to rush, but that ball was at 35 feet for a long time.
And so the Flyers get the ball back. Down 6 with 1:11 to go. Williams with a career high tonight. Inbound to the senior point guard, Suchi Smith. And the native of the Bronx. It's a 4-point game. Webster. And he will shoot 2.
See, patient but aggressive. Find the mixture. That possession was very different than the previous possession for Nebraska. And now you send Ty Webster to the free throw line. 15 points on the game, playing with 4 fouls for the final 5.5 minutes.
He's 18 of 20 on the year. And he very much looks like a 90% free throw shooter, calmly hitting the first.
No matter what, 2-possession game, 44 seconds. Now, I think if you've got a lane and a gap right away, you attack. You don't have to get the 3 if you're Dayton.
Kyle Davis has been replaced by Darrell Davis for Dayton. Over the back foul on the rebound against Jacobson.
And we'll go to the other end. And that was the last thing in the world you want if you're Tim Miles. You miss the free throw, 2-possession game, and less than a second goes off the clock, and they're shooting free throws at the other end.
And it's the young man out of Huber Heights Wayne High School, Springfield, Ohio, in the midst of a career game at the line.
The only difference is this is the guy you'd want at the free throw line if you were Tim Miles.
He had not taken a foul shot through Dayton's first 3 games. So now the offense-defense switch again for the Flyers. One Davis replaces the other. Webster working that baseline, finds McVeigh, who's immediately fouled.
There's some extracurricular talking. No need for any of that right now. In this moment, you've got to keep your head.
Jim Miles reminding Jack McVeigh of just that. We need you to go to the free throw line, son, and make a couple of big shots.
I think that's all he said, right?
Yeah.
This will be his first free throw attempts on the game.
It's been a quiet night for McVeigh, coming off a career-high Saturday, 21 against Louisiana Tech. A sophomore from Cabarita Beach in Australia. A couple of big foul shots.
I like the idea of extending up your pressure here. You want to force Dayton to have to use some time off the clock. They drop back immediately.
Smith drives around McVeigh. Nice use of his body to get the 2. Timeout Dayton.
Well, career night for the 6'7" forward from Nebraska, Ed Morrow. Came in career high, 15 points for Sac State, career high in rebounds, 7 versus Rutgers last year. He's taking care of both of those in this contest tonight. 18 and 9, 9 of 11 shooting in 33 minutes worth of action. And if Nebraska is able to hold on for this victory, I think you could really talk about, we came in talking about Ty Webster and we mentioned Watson and how he's performed. But I think this young man would be the reason why when they go back and watch the film, that they get the win.
Clearly. I think absolutely he's been the difference so far. You will see Coach Alford and his UCLA Bruins ranked 14th in the country coming up in our 4th quarterfinal of the Wooden Legacy. And That offense is about as much fun as you can imagine with this young man, the freshman Lonzo Ball out of Chino Hills, running the show.
Well, and if you haven't seen him, you need to flip over to ESPN2 as soon as we're done and get ready. Because, you know, as Ciarello would say, get your popcorn ready, because he is as electrifying as a freshman as you'll see in college basketball. UCLA has a strong, proud lineage of point guard play. Tyus Edney standing behind Coach Steve Alford there, of course. He had the play against Missouri that allowed UCLA to advance in the NCAA tournament to its last national championship. And for Steve Alford, he needed a good year. He needed this freshman class to come in and be as good as advertised. And guess what? He might be better.
McVay lost it. Cook to the basket. Count the basket. And a chance for three.
That was a great timeout by Archie Miller. They came out and they swarmed right away. And McVay just very loose with the ball, very casual. You cannot be casual with the basketball. Late game, tight lead, you've got to be strong. And that time he was not.
Did Dayton's inbound defense predicate that ball had to go where it did? Is that where they were trying to funnel it?
Well, they funneled it. They wanted to go to the corner. I mean, obviously, you want to flare it out to either corner, but you've got to bring it to him quick. Now you got to go final 32 seconds without Ty Webster. He's out. But what you don't need is McVay to look to try to make the pass, turn and face. And if he's not comfortable in that position, then you got to drop back. It's a one-point game. Here we go.
17 points for Cook. And that unrelenting Dayton defensive pressure continues to impact the game. McVay gets it into Gill. He's double teamed under the basket. Nowhere to go. 5 seconds.
No, they got the timeout.
Give the timeout. They give the timeout.
All right, it looked like he was given 5 seconds.
Yeah, the official
timeout. Here's what I don't understand. Nebraska's players are acting like they didn't know they had 2 timeouts. You had 2 timeouts. So McVay on that last possession could have called a timeout rather than turning the ball over. That time Gill had no awareness. Eventually one of the players on the floor figured it out and called timeout. Now what? 32 seconds on the inbound. And that's more than 5 seconds, but I'll tell you what, more importantly, I just don't understand how you have no awareness of that you have a timeout. Now you got 3 guys up the court saying, hey, timeout, timeout, timeout. But you've got to execute better against the press. You know it's coming. You just came out of a timeout. You turn the ball over. Then you know it's going to come right back at you. So figure out a way to get the ball in an operational area where you're not pinned against the baseline.
They were lucky to get that timeout, and they'll try a 3rd time. McVay's pass taken away by Williams. Dayton can take the lead.
This is fun.
Scoochie Smith right down Broadway, and the Flyers are up 1.
And it's their first lead of the game.
Watch it. And a foul before the shot.
Great job by Watson, attacking right away. The defense wasn't settled. He saw a seam, he saw a gap, and he went after it. But McVay has had a disaster of a final 32 seconds. 2 turnovers, both of them leading to points.
Watson 6 of 7 on the year, now make it 7 of 8. McVay and Jacobson go out. They bring their defensive unit onto the floor with Evan Taylor.
Now remember, Dayton does not have a timeout left. So if they get into trouble, they can't call a timeout. Nebraska still has 1. Ty Webster has fouled out of this game. Big free throw here for Watson, obviously.
The Cornhuskers back on top. Does Scoochie Smith have one more shot in him? He drives. Misses. Morrow with the rebound. And a foul on the floor with under 2 seconds remaining.
Remember when we went to, right before McVay turned it over, we said if they win this game, it's probably going to be because of Morrow. It is because of Morrow. That was a big-time defensive effort and play. And now he's got to go to the free throw line. With 1.8 seconds left to go, it'll take a miracle. Not a lot of time. It's going to have to be a heave.
On the year, Nebraska as a team shooting 85% from the line. That's second best in the country. Although, as you see, Morrow is only 60%.
He's 0 for 1 tonight. That one wasn't close. He's got a double-double. Nebraska's got to be careful not to foul.
It's a 2-point game. Sam Miller returns.
Remember what we saw at the end of that game? It was Missouri, and I think it was Missouri versus Xavier, and they fouled on a situation like this and ended up giving up free throws. Got to be careful to not reach and foul.
Mikesell, the baseball pass. It's deflected. Miller can't get the shot, and the Cornhuskers survive.
That is a big, big win for Nebraska and a heartbreaking loss for Dayton. You know, you dig yourself a hole, you finally climb your way out of it to take your first lead late in the game, but the Cornhuskers answered.
So for Sean Farnham and Jeff Goodman, I'm Doug Sherman saying so long from Fullerton, California. Our final score 80-78 Nebraska. Stay tuned for more basketball here at the Wooden Legacy at 11 Eastern on ESPN2 as Portland will take on 14th ranked UCLA.